On a bright and peaceful afternoon, the neighborhood felt almost frozen in calm. Birds fluttered across rooftops, lawns shimmered under the sun, and nothing seemed out of place. Yet something unsettling stirred the moment an HOA woman noticed. A black woman walking toward a home at the end of the street. Her expression shifted from confusion to suspicion, then hardened into fear, with no basis in reality. Without a moment's hesitation, she grabbed her phone. She dialed 911, reporting a dangerous intruder attempting to enter a house that wasn't hers. What she didn't know, what made this moment so explosive, was that the woman she was calling the police on oversaw the entire state police force. And once that emergency call went out, the situation became much darker. What happens when racial bias triggers the kind of police response meant for real threats? Watch until the end. Wait a second. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more powerful and inspiring stories just like this one. Lieutenant Colonel Ayanna Brooks had spent her life mastering calm in chaos as one of the highest-ranking officers in the entire state police system. She operated at a level where decisions carried immense weight. Her workdays were filled with reviewing critical reports, coordinating complex operations, and managing the actions of thousands of officers across the state. She had walked through crime scenes, managed statewide crises, and handled operations that would overwhelm most people. Yet, despite all this responsibility, she never carried the stress home. Home was her sanctuary. The suburban neighborhood where she lived with her husband had been handpicked for its quiet streets and friendly community. At least, that was the image presented in brochures and by the real estate agent. The truth revealed itself slowly, subtle stares lingering a bit too long, neighbors offering forced smiles. It whispered comments when they thought she couldn't hear. To some, the sight of a black couple living comfortably in a large home triggered assumptions they couldn't hide. Ayanna never let it affect her. She had experienced far worse in her line of work. Still, she expected, hoped, that her own front porch would be free from that kind of judgment. But on this particular afternoon, as she returned early from a statewide briefing, stepping out of her unmarked vehicle, her peace was shattered before she could even reach the door. Across the street, an HOA representative watched her with narrowed eyes, suspicion already brewing into something more dangerous. The HOA representative, Donna, had earned a reputation in the neighborhood, a woman who clung to rules as though they were weapons. She patrolled the community with a clipboard, pointing out untrimmed hedges, misaligned trash cans, and seasonal decorations that didn't meet HOA guidelines. Many found her annoying, but few confronted her. She thrived on a sense of authority and wielded it eagerly. Today, however, her fixation on rules took a different, in far more troubling turn. When she noticed Ayanna approaching the front door, Donna's eyes sharpened with suspicion. She didn't recognize her, or rather, she refused to accept that the woman belonged there. Her posture stiffened, and her steps grew fast and decisive as she walked closer, watching Ayanna intently, almost as if waiting for a reason to escalate. Ayanna moved as she always did, calm, collected, confident, completely unaware that someone nearby had already judged her guilty. Without offering a greeting or attempting to understand the situation, Donna pulled out her phone. Her hands trembled, slightly, but not from fear, from a determination to assert control. The moment the 911 operator answered, Donna launched into an exaggerated description of what she believed she was witnessing. Her voice took on the tone of a person reporting a serious crime, not an everyday misunderstanding. She claimed a suspicious black woman was trying to enter a home that clearly wasn't hers. Her voice heightened as she insisted that the woman was refusing to leave and that she looked agitated and possibly armed. She added details that were never there, gestures Ayanna hadn't made, expressions she hadn't shown. Her words shaped the narrative that dispatchers would hear. Inside the home, Ayanna's husband noticed the tension outside. He stepped onto the porch, but by then, the damage had already been done. The 911 call had set a process in motion that moved fast, far faster than any ordinary misunderstanding should. Ayanna knew the pattern. She had seen situations escalate from nothing to life-threatening in minutes because someone allowed prejudice to guide their assumptions. She could already sense the weight of what was coming. The tone Donna used, the urgency, the fear, was the kind that triggered rapid response units. Officers arriving primed for danger, fueled by misinformation, and entering the situation expecting a violent suspect. Ayanna stood quietly, aware of the storm building around her. Donna, still on the phone, described her as a threat to the neighborhood. The neighbors began peeking from windows, observing without intervening, caught between curiosity and silent approval. The fuse had been lit, and Ayanna knew too well how quickly such moments could turn deadly. The distant hum of engines grew louder, rolling like thunder down the quiet street. Not one police car, not two. 4 patrol vehicles arrived, forming a semicircle around the driveway, an aggressive approach reserved for serious threats. Officers exited with alert posture, their training guiding their every movement as they scanned the scene with guarded eyes. They were responding to a call describing a dangerous intruder. Their tenseness reflected that assumption. Ayanna stood still, understanding the weight of the moment with absolute clarity. She had seen countless similar calls. She knew how quickly a harmless situation could be interpreted as a threat. Even though she was the highest-ranking officer in the state police, none of that mattered right now. In this moment, they didn't see her rank, her years of service, or her authority. They only saw what they had been told to expect. The officers began to approach, their steps deliberate. Ayanna kept her movements slow and visible. Her badge lay inside her blazer, a simple gesture away, but even reaching for it carried risk. In my eyes, that tense silence. She finally moved, lifting her hand with intentional calm. She reached into her jacket, aware of every breath, every eye fixed on her, and every misunderstanding that could erupt into tragedy. What she revealed was not a weapon, but her identification. Clear, unmistakable, authoritative. The officers paused, confusion sweeping over their faces as they processed the name, the title, the rank. Lieutenant Colonel, Executive Command, oversight of the entire state police system. Shock replaced suspicion almost instantly. The tension evaporated as reality sank in. They had responded aggressively to a call about an intruder, only to discover the suspect was their own highest-ranking superior. Apologies poured out, mixed with disbelief at how severely the 911 caller's description had misled them. Donna, standing frozen several yards away, realized the enormity of her actions. Her assumptions had triggered a dangerous escalation that could have ended far differently, especially if the woman she targeted hadn't been someone with the composure, experience, and authority to survive it. The officers documented the incident. A formal complaint was filed regarding the misuse of emergency services. Weeks later, Donna was removed from the HOA board altogether, her behavior deemed reckless and unacceptable. But the more profound impact remained. Ayanna carried the knowledge that, even after dedicating her life to law enforcement and reaching one of the highest possible ranks, she could still be viewed as a threat in her own driveway. It was a reminder of a painful truth, one that stretched far beyond her neighborhood. Because if this could happen to her, what did it mean for the thousands of people who faced similar situations without rank, authority, or the ability to defend themselves? Where are you watching from? What city and country? Take care.